All right, what up? Three variables, day two. Look, I literally just got done teaching this 7th hour. Here we go. Um, Up until this point, well, let me go backwards a little bit. Up until this point, they had given us one or possibly two equations that already had two variables. So this is what happens when we have no no equations have two variables. In three variables, you really get a choice. Now, there's generally an easier way to do anything, but again, we're trying to match things up. And the hardest part of three variable is going from three variable to two variable. Am I still up? Yeah, okay, good. So we have 9 options: x, 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 y, 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 z, z, z. We are trying to find one of these 9 that match up with its counterparts the best. Now I have like z underlined because I can get z to match here pretty easy. I can get z to match here pretty easy, and then those cancel. I could have done this. I could also have done it with y. Y can match. I can make that a -4 pretty easy. I can make that a -2 pretty easy. But we notice that all the x's kind of go together. They already all have the same number, and one of them's negative. And I circled this guy because he is the one that matches up exactly with both top and bottom. So, and I used this, and I'm going to do it again because I like my boxes. So what we did was we figured, look, if that wasn't there, and I combine these, that gets me 0, that gets me 3, that gets me 3, and 16 minus 4 is 12. But I still can't do anything with just one two-variable equation. So since I said this guy matched up with the top one also, just a little bit smaller. Now if I pretend the middle one's not there, that gets me 0, that gets me 6, that actually gets me 0, and I can now create, this is my checkpoint. This is why it's highlighted. This is my checkpoint. I have two equations with two variables. Now, truthfully, that's not there, which means 6y equals 6, which means y equals 1. As soon as you get your first variable, it's time to start plugging in somewhere. Well, I can't take this y and plug it in up here anywhere because I would still have, like, what was I finding? Y, I still have x's and z's that I don't know yet. However, here in blue, I created this guy. Now I plug in y right here, I can solve for z. And once I have both y and z, that's when I go back to my original. And we actually chose this middle one because y and z were already by itself. A little bit less work. Here in purple to find x. And again, I might be going fast. Just pause. Everything's color-coded. Oh, and I didn't finish this one. 7th hour. Catch me slipping. -4, 1, 3. Just like that. From the checkpoint on, if you're having trouble, like, you need to go back to the two-variable solve by elimination. And if you're kind of having trouble, like, figuring out maybe where to go after the last video, like, we have all the almost all the checkpoints marked. I got them all marked down. But going from three variable to two variable is the hardest part. So then we tried this one. And again, we looked and we said, if that bottom guy wasn't there, let me go back. Give you a second to write it down, so pause if you need to. If this bottom guy was not there, and I also noticed, well, let me go backwards just a little bit. This is circled because it matches up here and matches up with the bottom the easiest. Now I could have gotten the A's to match up fairly easy, and even the C's. But I figured if I take the top two equations and add them together, I can get this here in blue. And then I don't need that guy anymore. This in the bottom actually gave me this in green. Now again, what happened is A minus A gave me 0. So I solved for C pretty easy. I plugged back into blue, solved for A, took C and A, and where did I plug in? The middle one looks like. That's what they chose. Why not? Plug back into the middle one, solve for B, and have my ABC answer. It's really trying to figure out which one of these 9 matches up best, and whichever one you kind of circle, that's the equation you use twice. Use the top and the middle, and the top and the bottom. And once you do that, we're at our checkpoint, just like every other time we've done this. Now this one, we actually had a couple options. This Y matched up perfectly with both of them, and this Z matched up perfectly with both. So it didn't really matter. We chose to go with Y. Now what happened was, when I take the top 2 equations, X and negative X and Y and negative Y, I actually had just Z left over, quick solve. Then in green, top and middle, because again, that guy's not there. That gave me -2. That gave me 0, and that gave me 0. So again, I just had X to solve for. Once I have X and Z, we chose the middle one, plug in and solve. Like, you have options. Now, I could have done it with Z, and I would have still gotten kind of the same thing. Either way you do it, it's going to end up working out. On this one, this is where it got a little bit longer. Because now what happens, like all these other ones, they all had 1 or -1. They all had 4 or -4. They all had 2 or -2. All of those were really easy to see. This one, when I take this away, I have 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 3, and 3, 5, 3. I had some of my kids go like, well, look, the S's can cancel here, but can I get this to match up with that 4 super easy? And the answer was no. This R right here, getting it to match up with its other 2 was the easiest thing to do. In blue, I took this whole equation and I multiplied by 3, because that 3R and that -3R down here can match up. Then I can take this guy and this whole row and multiply it, instead of by 3, because we're going back to the original, I multiply by 4. And I get this guy over here, which matches with the middle one. And what happens is, these combine to this top black equation. These combine to this black equation, which became the bottom one. Boom, I'm at my checkpoint. Now this one's not super pretty, because we're going to have to multiply the bottom by 6 and the top by -8 to finish solving. And I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it, but we hit our checkpoint. And it's all about going back up here and finding which of these 9 is the easiest to manipulate. I found it. Cool. Now this is the one I'm going to use twice. I have to change it this way the first time, and I have to change it this way the second time. Both of them get me my two variable equations, plug back in, or solve like normal, plug back in, and then find one of the original ones and plug back into there. 3 variable stuff, literally once you hit this checkpoint, you're golden, because all this stuff is what we've seen before. The hardest part is figuring out which variable of these 9 is going to be the easiest to mess with, and that'll be the line that you use twice. There's definitely more of this coming. I gave them this to try, so if you want to try this before the next video. This one was nice because B's are all nice and together, and this guy is my target. So I'm going to use this top line twice, top and middle, top and bottom, and then I should be good to go from there. But yeah, this one is not too bad, just kind of figuring out how to get from three variable down to two variable. Ask questions if you need. Go back and rewind, pause, come see me at lunch, whatever it is. If you can get this video down, if you can understand how we're going from 3 3s to 2 2s, the rest of it is going to be a cakewalk.